Your absence can teach someone your value, but recognizing value does not automatically give them the skill to care for what they value. A person can know that a relationship matters and still repeat the habits that damage it. Think about how often people regret consequences without changing the behavior that produced them. Someone can miss their health while continuing the same habits. They can miss financial stability while avoiding the decisions that would rebuild it. They can miss a relationship while resisting the accountability required to repair it. Regret is information. Change is evidence. So, turn the question away from what they feel for a moment. What happens inside you when they say they miss you? Do you feel relief because their longing confirms that you matter? Are you listening for evidence of change or for evidence that you were lovable? Are you responding to the relationship as it repeatedly existed, or the version that appears when they fear losing access to you? Wanting to be missed is human. After rejection or mistreatment, knowing someone feels your absence can temporarily repair your sense of significance. It can seem to answer the painful question, did I mean anything at all? But that emotional answer can pull you back into a practical situation that has not changed. Sometimes being missed feels like the apology you wanted, so you accept it as the change you needed. But longing is not repair. An emotional confession can acknowledge their pain without acknowledging yours. I miss you describes how the separation affected them. Repair also requires understanding how their behavior affected you. That is a much harder conversation. So what do you actually do when someone who didn't treat you well says they miss you? Someone can miss your voice, your presence, your kindness, and still return to your life with the same behavior that pushed you away. You see, that contradiction can be deeply confusing. You think, if they miss me this much, surely they finally understand what I mean to them. But missing you and knowing how to treat you are not the same ability. And there is one thing a person saying I miss you actually proves. It's important, but it may be far less than you hope. We'll come back to that. Maybe you know the pattern. They reach out late at night and tell you they've been thinking about you. They mention an inside joke, send a song that used to mean something. They tell you the house feels empty, the weekends feel different, or nobody understands them the way you did. For a moment, the distance between you disappears. You remember the warmth, the conversations, the version of the relationship that felt possible. Then you let them back in. At first, they make more effort. Their messages are thoughtful. Their tone is softer. They say they don't want to lose you again. But gradually, the old pattern returns. They stop communicating consistently. They dismiss the same concern you raised before. They expect closeness without accountability. And now you are not only hurt, you are confused. How can someone sound so sincere when they miss me, then make me feel so unimportant when they have me? The simple answer is that feelings and relationship skills are different things. Missing someone is an emotion. Treating someone well requires behavior. It requires emotional regulation, empathy, honesty, consistency, self-awareness, and the willingness to tolerate uncomfortable conversations. A person can experience longing without possessing those skills. They can genuinely feel your presence and still struggle to take responsibility for what created it. That doesn't automatically mean they are pretending. Human beings are capable of sincere feelings and harmful patterns at the same time. Someone may love you and still avoid conflict. They may value you and still become defensive when you express a need. They may regret losing you and still lack the emotional maturity required to build something healthier. Understanding this is not about excusing them. It is about evaluating the right thing. Because many people evaluate the intensity of someone's feelings when they should be evaluating the quality of their behavior. Now, here is another layer. Sometimes people don't only miss you, they miss what being connected to you provided. Perhaps you listened without judging them. Perhaps you brought stability to their chaos. You remember the details, offered reassurance, initiated repair, made plans, helped them regulate their emotions. They may miss the role you played in their life. That doesn't mean they never cared about you as a person. Motives are rarely that simple, but it is possible to miss someone partly because life became more difficult without everything they used to provide. That is why I miss you can feel so meaningful to hear and still tell you very little about what would happen if you returned. They may be describing their pain in your absence. They are not necessarily demonstrating their capacity to protect your well-being in their presence. You see, attachment also plays a role. Our minds form emotional associations with familiar people. A particular voice can feel calming. A certain routine can feel like home. Even a difficult relationship can become deeply familiar. When that connection ends, The nervous system notices the disruption. The person may miss the routine, physical closeness, emotional intensity, or sense of identity they experience with you. But familiarity is not the same as compatibility. Longing is not the same as readiness. And attachment is not proof that a relationship is healthy enough to continue. This is easy to understand because separation changes what people focus on. When you are together, they may focus on the demands of the relationship, the conversations they don't want to have, the compromises they resist, or the vulnerabilities that scares them. When you leave, those immediate pressures disappear. Now they can remember the comfort without confronting the responsibility. Distance can make their affection easier to feel because closeness is no longer requiring anything from them. That's why some people appear more emotionally available when you are leaving than when you are staying. Loss activates them. Security relaxes them. Once they believe they have access to you again, the urgency fades, and unless something deeper has changed, familiar habits return. This pattern is sometimes described through intermittent reinforcement. In simple terms, inconsistent reward can make us more emotionally preoccupied than steady ones. If someone is loving, then distant, then intensely affectionate, when you pull away, your mind may become focused on recovering the loving version. You start treating moments of closeness as evidence of who they really are, the moments of neglect as temporary interruptions, but both are part of the pattern. A relationship is not defined only by the best moments. It is also defined by what repeatedly happens after those moments end. Now, let's imagine Leah and Marcus. They have been together for 2 years. Marcus cares about Leah, but whenever she raises a concern, he becomes defensive. He tells her she's overthinking, withdraws for days, and returns when the tension has passed without resolving anything. Eventually, Leah ends the relationship. A month later, Marcus contacts her. He says he misses their mornings together. He has been looking at old photos and admits that losing her has been harder than he expected. Leah hears vulnerability she had wanted from him for years. She thinks maybe this finally changed him, and perhaps the loss made him reflect. But feeling pain is not the same as learning from it. The real question is not whether Marcus misses Leah. The real question is whether he can now stay present when Leah expresses hurt, acknowledge the impact without immediately defending himself, and participate in consistent repair. If those behaviors have not changed, his longing may be real, but it is not yet useful. But here is where people often get this completely backward. They assume that being missed means they should return. Sometimes it simply means the separation had an emotional consequence. Those are not the same conclusion. Your absence can teach someone your value, but recognizing value does not automatically give them the skill to care for what they value. A person can know that a relationship matters and still repeat the habits that damage it. Think about how often people regret consequences without changing the behavior that produced them. Someone can miss their health while continuing the same habits. They can miss financial stability while avoiding the decisions that would rebuild it. They can miss a relationship while resisting the accountability required to repair it. Regret is information. Change is evidence. So turn the question away from what they feel for a moment. What happens inside you when they say they miss you? Do you feel relief because their longing confirms that you matter? Are you listening for evidence of change or for evidence that you were lovable? Are you responding to the relationship as it repeatedly existed, or the version that appears when they fear losing access to you? What specific behavior would you need to change for returning to be emotionally safe? And have you communicated that clearly, or are you hoping they will somehow prove it without a direct conversation? These questions are not meant to shame you. Wanting to be missed is human. After rejection or mistreatment, knowing someone feels your absence can temporarily repair your sense of significance. It can seem to answer the painful question, did I mean anything at all? But that emotional answer can pull you back into a practical situation that has not changed. And this is the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes being missed feels like the apology you wanted, so you accept it as the change you needed. But longing is not repair. An emotional confession can acknowledge their pain without acknowledging yours. I miss you describes how the separation affected them. Repair also requires understanding how their behavior affected you. That is a much harder conversation. So what do you actually do when someone who didn't treat you well says they miss you? Start by identifying the pattern, not only the best moment. Write down what repeatedly happened before the separation. Did they make one mistake and take genuine responsibility, or did the same issue return after multiple conversations? A mistake followed by a repair is different from a pattern followed by temporary remorse. Look at frequency, impact, accountability, and change. Next, separate facts from interpretations. The fact may be they contacted me 3 times and said they miss me. The interpretation may be they are finally ready for a healthy relationship. That interpretation could become true, but the message alone does not prove it. Another fact might be they apologized without blaming me, or they identified specific behavior they need to change. Those facts provide more useful information. They ask for clarity. You don't need to interrogate them or make them perform. You can simply say, I hear that you miss me. Before I consider reconnecting, I need to understand what you believe went wrong and what would be different this time. Notice whether their answer focuses only on their loneliness or also demonstrates understanding of the relationship. I've been miserable without you expresses emotions. I dismiss your concerns and expected you to keep carrying the communication. I understand why that made you feel alone. Demonstrates awareness. Awareness still isn't change, but it is a more credible beginning. Then look for a repair plan. What specific behavior will be different? If conflict became disrespectful, what will happen when emotions rise again? If trust was broken, what transparency is being offered? Vague promises sounds like, I'll do better. A meaningful plan sounds more like, when I feel defensive, I will ask for a short break and return to the conversation at an agreed time instead of disappearing. Specificity does not guarantee success, but vagueness makes accountability almost impossible. After that, watch what happens over time. Do their actions remain consistent after the fear of losing you fades? Can they respect a slower pace, or do they pressure you for immediate access? Do they become angry when their words do not instantly erase the consequences? A healthy response understands that trust is rebuilt through repetition. An unhealthy response may treat their regret as something you are obligated to reward. And finally, decide what level of access the evidence supports. Forgiveness does not automatically require reconciliation. You can believe their feelings are sincere without returning to the same relationship. You can accept an apology without restoring the previous level of closeness. You can care about someone and still require distance. Access is not the price someone receives for missing you. It is something rebuilt through safety, respect, and consistency. Now, what does healthy reconciliation look like? It moves more slowly than emotion wants to move. Both people can name what happened without rewriting history. The person who caused harm can hear the impact without making the ashamed the center of the conversation. The hurt person can express standards without using the past as permanent punishment. Expectations become specific, boundaries become clear, and change continues even when nobody is threatening to leave. Healthy love is not perfect. People will misunderstand each other. They become insecure, make mistakes, and sometimes react badly. The difference is not the total absence of hurt. It is the presence of accountability and repair. A healthy relationship gradually creates more clarity, not more confusion. Now, let's return to the question from the beginning. What does I miss you actually prove? It proves that they feel your absence. That matters. It may be sincere. It may reveal attachment, affection, regret, loneliness, or a mixture of all four. But it does not by itself prove compatibility, accountability, emotional maturity, or lasting change. Missing you is a feeling they experience. Treating you right is a choice they must repeatedly make. You don't need to dismiss their feelings to protect yourself. And you don't need to turn them into a villain to acknowledge that their current capacity may not be enough for the relationship you need. The wisest response is neither immediate reunion or automatic suspicion. It is observation. Let the words tell you what they feel, and let the pattern tell you what they can sustain. Being missed may confirm that you were meaningful, but you do not need someone's longing to prove your worth, and you do not have to exchange renewed access for emotional validation. The question is not simply, do they still want me? The better question is, can we create something healthier than what we had? And if the answer is no, you can honor what was real without returning to what repeatedly hurt. Have you ever mistaken someone missing you for evidence that the relationship would finally be different? Let's hear your comments. God bless you.